Hello and welcome to the Spiritual Life Coach Podcast. I'm your host, Erica Haynes. On this podcast, we'll use spiritual truth and spiritual tools to lighten up your challenges. Hello. Good morning. Welcome back to the podcast. No matter what, you're a seeker. In my early days of seeking, I turned away from established spiritual paths many times, because I was so strongly conditioned to be what the world asks of you. And I believed that the promises of the world, like having a family and having a successful career and money, were what would make me happy. I didn't turn to spirituality because I was actually miserable and depressed and my thoughts were making me crazy. I didn't even turn to therapy because that wasn't as prominent as it is today. Honestly, I didn't even know there was something wrong. I just knew I felt like shit sometimes, and I wanted someone to love me. I felt better when I exercised, and I also put so much emphasis on my body and how I look, to the extent of obsession with it, starving myself, living on caffeine and nicotine, which is basically fueling my body with cortisol for many, many years, decades of my life. Because when your body doesn't have the calories and the nutrition it needs, it uses cortisol for energy. Long-term elevated levels of cortisol are deleterious to your body. It may not catch up with you right away, but you're basically living in fight or flight. And that's going to potentially lead to alcohol or other substance abuse, which will contribute to depression, as well as anxiety, which also goes hand in hand with depression. So though I turned away from different spiritual paths that were kind of reaching their hand out to me at a young age, I found that high spiritual truth was the only thing that rescued me. Years later, when my life was in shambles and my anxiety and living in fight or flight and cortisol levels had come to such a height that I couldn't sleep anymore. And that was a dark night of the soul, which was like a decade-long dark night of the soul. And the dark night of the soul was really like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I don't have what it takes to do any of this. Other people can do this. I cannot do this. The dark night of the soul was me feeling so small, so helpless, so powerless that I didn't know how to live. Meaning dying felt like a very strong alternative. In came many teachers, I guess in response to my suffering, and they were human beings. So while I gained amazing things from them, and they were spiritual guides for me at the times, they led me to a spiritual teacher who really is as pure as they get. And I should be incredibly grateful for that. It's almost like this particular teacher is the divine masculine, because he put order and organization into the chaos that I experienced as life itself. Not only my own personal chaos, but the world just seemed too complex for me. And what that teacher has given me is an organization and an understanding and such a clarity on what's truth and what's falseness. It's freed me of overwhelm and confusion. Not that I don't ever get overwhelmed and confused. I'm still human. It relieved a lot. What that organizing thing is that has helped me so much is the scale of consciousness, which has the highest energies at the top and the lowest energies at the bottom. So fear and shame and self-doubt and helplessness and powerlessness and anger even are all below neutral. And most of humanity's consciousness is right around or below neutral. But the scale increases exponentially at every 100. So it's 100 exponentially before the next 100. So peace and love and archetypes or avatars like Jesus and angels and Krishna and Buddha, they exist. But it's such a high frequency that they can have immense power and benefit to someone at a low frequency. The balance of consciousness in the world is lifted up by these few people at these really, really high, exponentially high levels. And that's what helped me. And that's what allowed me to sleep at night. And that's what helped me heal. And that's what I incorporate into my everyday. If I'm sad or if I'm afraid, I'm in my lower mind. I'm not in my higher mind. But acceptance is above neutral. So if I accept that I'm sad or afraid, I actually move up and feel a little bit better. On this scale, everything is calibrated. Not everything, because this teacher has died before doing all the calibrations in the world. A Course in Miracles is at about level 500. I think it's 525. That's very close to the level of unconditional love. Alcoholics Anonymous calibrates up around that level because of unconditional love. It was a way, or it still can be a way if you're able to calibrate yourself, because you can learn how to do it, to differentiate truth from falsehood, which is beyond the human mind to conceptualize. Science is actually definitely really high on the scale, but it's also a limit, because you do have to transcend the level of science to get up to the level of comprehending avatars. Jesus, Krishna, and Buddha still existing and still having power. Creation itself, you really have to transcend science to conceptualize. You have to transcend science to conceptualize God. I heard it said once that science really is the study of God. But the human mind is limited, and therefore we can be fooled, and therefore we can't reliably discern truth from falsehood. And people are so wrapped up in their positions and their opinions and their identities, there's always a greater truth anyway. And when the greater truth is presented, it resolves all those conflicts, because the greater truth is God. And the greater truth is God is oneness, is love. So if I'm having an argument about my opinion versus another person's opinion, we're not even this flesh and blood that we see ourselves as. Forgiveness is very high on the scale, and anything that Jesus or Krishna or Buddha said is true. But not everything in the Bible is correctly interpreted what Jesus said. And according to this teacher, the book of Revelations was actually demonic, and it managed to get itself right in the middle of the Bible. Other things I've learned from Dr. David Hawkins is there are other dimensions. A bad trip on mushrooms will put you in one. I assume DMT will put you in one. We know there are other dimensions. There are heavenly and hell realms, and you don't want to mess with hell realms because you're on earth. And in the earth realm, we have the ability to go from hell to heaven. We have the ability to heal karma and evolve spiritually while we're here. There are some realms that people have sinned that they can't escape from. So you don't want to go to that realm, because for eternity, that person or that entity has been practicing how to fool you. And that those entities do access this world, because why would they not? Why would they not want what we have here? And the way that they are able to access us is through the airwaves, through media, mostly. So you don't even really have to be careful what you consume, as much as just know that if you're putting headphones on and zoning out to a game, it's not even the violence and the shooting that's affecting you. It's what's getting in your brain while your brain is focused on that game. What can access you there? Many spiritual traditions see negative states and mental illness as demons. I think that you can pick up demons. I think demons can be inherited. But when you're on the highest path of light and truth, you're safe from those things. You're protected. That's what this podcast is based on. I'm sharing what gave me the ability to go from hell on earth to heaven on earth. I still have challenges. I still have bad days. I still have negative moods, but way less than I used to. And everything is happening for me and for my growth. And I'm delighted in the discovery. In this podcast is a deeper level than what I share on social media, because really it's my practice. When I say I'm sharing the highest truth, or I'm sharing from A Course in Miracles, or I'm sharing from a different book, these have all been calibrated to be at least 500 and above. When you need it, or when that makes sense to become a way of life for you, you have it. Thank you for listening. I love you. Let me know if you want to talk for free about working together. Have a great day and a great life too.